use this opening for you to keep on winning, not on losing. I'm not surprised if you don't know this opening yet, as upon finding and searching different openings, Vienna is one of the least used opening based on chess.com. So, let's unleash this opening. Last part has important traps for you, watch till the end. This opening starts with the most common opening. Pawn to e4 to control f5, and d5 file, then responses with e5. The same concept of controlling the center file. Then instead of responding with the most common knight f3, we used knight c3. This is what we called the Vienna opening. Black has a lot of response like knight c6 or knight f6. But we explore both of that. Let's look at knight f6 first. We respond for the Vienna Gambit, which starts with the move f4. Most players would take, and here we have the dangerous move. Pawn move to e5. That's why the opponent knight has nitrogen monoxide safe squares left. He forced to go back. And now we must be careful with queen h4 threat. So let's simply develop this knight. And you're already in a great position. This time, I'll show you a trap. The opponent's most and obvious response is d6, attacking the center and opening up this diagonal for the bishop. We respond with d4, adding another defender. Then if he takes, we won't take back. Instead, just check with the bishop. Blocking the pawn is common. And we'll just slide back to c4. Block is up with 3 pawns, plus this knight is under attack. Well, just ignore this threat and develop the bishop. Now if he tries to be greedy and takes the knight, then he fall for the trap. Let me show you how. We start with the bishop f7 check, a bishop sacrifice. If he takes, then he loses queen. And if he doesn't, we go with the best move in this position. The queen need to check. Go in f6 doesn't make sense as the king will be exposed. And moving to d7 or blocking with the bishop results an easy checkmate. So basically, taking the bishop seems the best response. But still we have this brilliant move knight d5 check. If king goes to the file, knight c6 wins the queen due to discovered check. So, king f6 is forced. And now we have a great move again, g5 check. If the king moves away, queen is takes and losing. And even if he takes, we have a brilliant triple fork and black already losing. But still in few moves we should be able to checkmate him easily. So, let's look with another amazing trap. Sometimes in this position, instead of knight going back, black try to be smart by playing queen to e7 and not letting this pawn to move. So the best thing to do is to play e2 and unpen the pawn. The good thing is that it is protected, so he can't take it with queen, so that his knight forced to go back. And again, you need to be careful with this queen h4 check. Then, we just develop the knight and h4 is protected against a threat. So what do we do now? As you can see, all his officials are not developed, and the main problem is the e-pawn. So to get rid of it, the most popular response is d6 and knight c6. Let's look at it, all of that move. If d6, then you have a great move, knight to d5. We're threatening the queen. And also threatening this deadly check to c7. So, queen e6 is already losing for black. Therefore, his choice is only d7 or d8. But it doesn't really matter whatever he is because we have this discovered check. But a simpler way is to attack right away by taking c7 pawn. The rook is threat to his rook, so he takes it with queen and you have brilliant discovered check. And loses his queen. So what if instead of d6, black plays knight c6, then we have d4. Strengthening the center and striking this pawn, you can take it if he don't defend it. And if he moves with d6. Attack with knight in the same way as we saw earlier, that already winning for white. Okay, let's go back again. But before that, can you please like and subscribe for more content like this? So, let's continue. What if he declined the gambit, and defends with either knight c6 or d6? Let's look for knight c6 first. This also not great for black and better for white because after he takes, we attack the knight to push him back, then threaten the other knight to push it back as well. And then develop our knight to f3 and stop queen h4 check. He'll try to open up the center, but will continue develop. Don't much worry about your pawns. Just focus to develop. Or activate all your pieces and castle kingside. Make use of this f-file and target the king with your active piece. So, that was knight c6. Now, what if black declines with d6? The concepts are quite similar. First, bring out the knight. Attacking the center pawn, if black gets other knight out, we can pin with our bishop. and open up this diagonal, eliminate the knight, put pressure on the center, and then you can castle and attack f-file. This is really good for you to play as white in this position, and now I will teach you the one and only best move for black in this Vienna, which is declining the gambit with d5. This move is very effective as black, I can guarantee you, because this is the main line, and after you take, black can recapture with the knight because it is defended by the pawn. And then you can play knight to f3 to stop this check, but it has a better option of queen to f3. The opponent check threat can still be defended, and most probably your opponent will exchange the knights, and then there could be possible move after that. All you need to do as white is to keep develop, castle, plan then attack. So that was the Vienna Gambit after black plays knight f6. Now, what if black plays knight c6? If you still do f4 like we do a few moments, you're wrong. Because after black takes, the queen h4 check is a threat right away and you can't defend it. Black has g5. And that's a better position for black. Therefore, after knight c6, it is recommended to play normal development like bishop c4. A lot of opponent respond bishop to c5. And you can play now queen to g4, striking this pawn. Common response for black is queen f6. Defending the pawn and hitting f2 at the same time. Don't save the pawn as you have much better move, knight to d5. Even if he takes f2, he can't still mate. Black can't mate for not and not support. And you have to great possible attack. That possible losing opponent rooks. Many player try d6, that you can't take on g7. And don't take the rook immediately, just point your knight to his queen. If he takes, attack the rook. Black can't simply move his queen away because we're just killing it. We'll go in and just continue checking until it's checkmate. So, here is the last and most likely trap for Vienna if black move bishop to b4. This what I've said the best part of the trap as I always encounter this. Just sit back, chill, and relax. Black wants trade of bishop to our knight but we declined it. And move to d5 threatening his bishop. That's why he slide down to c5. Then we move queen to g4, an aggressive move, striking his pawn. That's why he moved to g6 to avoid it. And we response d for attacking his pawn and bishop. And black response d6, defending and discover attack to our queen. That's why we move our queen to g3, and he takes d for 2 up by a pawn and we move pawn to c3 attacking his bishop, and black slide his bishop to b6. Then, we're just developing our piece bishop to c4. And black developing also his knight to c6, and continue developing our piece. And then we have to move the great move bishop to g5. Threaten the queen. That's why he defended it with knight to e7. Then the most brilliant move knight to f6 check. Nowhere to move, only f8, then the stunning bishop to h6 checkmate.